Hey everybody, DeHubs here for a discussion type video. Now I know the N64 hype train is almost, or the N64 mini or classic or whatever you want to call it, hype train was started about a year ago, and now the reason that I am wanting to bring it back up is two reasons. The first one being that I have recently started watching a lot of N64 minis and classics. I don't know why I'm getting so hyped, but I went ahead and typed up this list of my own N64 games, since the N64 was really my first console, some of my first games, along with the Game Boy and the original Pokemons and such like that. These were really my first gaming experiences around the turn of the century, so they are really special to me. And this is the first classic system that I will really get hyped for based off of some nostalgia. And the other reason is, I guess, really good timing, though it doesn't have too much to do with the N64. The SNES and the NES Classic are coming back into stock, so it makes this video a bit more timely than it would have been, because really I was just going to make this video out of nowhere, but now we have that, I guess, as a talking point. A couple other points before we jump into my list. The first one being, I am reading this directly from my blog post, and I'll stray from my notes here every once in a while, but hopefully it doesn't come off too unnatural, because I will be reading from a blog post that I typed up and put online yesterday. And the second being, I hope you guys enjoy the Mario Party 2 footage. It was originally just going to be some extra footage for because I'm going to talk about Mario Party 2 during this list, but I ended up liking it, and I ended up having this really intense match with Princess Peach, as you guys will see. So I just decided to make it the kind of main video over Legend of Zelda, which was originally going to be the main video. Alright, and with that out of the way, I'm going to jump into my list, but I do have to lead with a little preface, a disclaimer, however you want to call it. Donkey Kong 64 and Diddy Kong Racing are games that I have seen on other people's list, but I challenged myself to not use Rare titles, Rare being the studio and not Rare as in the game's rarity. So with that out of the way, you will not see Donkey Kong 64, Diddy Kong Racing, Perfect Dark, GoldenEye, Banjo-Kazooie or Banjo-Tooie, or Conker's Bad Fur Day. I know they have other ones, but those are kind of the big ones you always hear tossed around. We'll talk about that more during the wrap-up, and where I think they would be if they were on here and whatnot, but let's get on the way with the actual list. So I'm going to just start with the easy ones, and these are slam dunks, automatic, no questions asked, they're going to be there. That's Super Mario 64, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, Paper Mario, Starfox, Super Smash Bros., Pilot Wing 64, and or Wave Racer 64, and Mario Kart 64. So in my opinions, these are just the easy no-brainers, probably unanimous on everybody's list. And if we were going to include rare titles here, I think you would at least see GoldenEye and Banjo-Kazooie. My thoughts on Conker, I haven't really played it, but I know that it's M-rated, and I know that it worked for that M rating, that it really wanted that M rating. And with that in mind, I don't know if Nintendo would put that game on their N64 Mini, even if they didn't have any kind of conflict or copyright issues. I don't know if they would put a game that's so intentionally M-rated on a system that you're going to buy for your kids for Christmas. I don't think you would have a way of disabling that game or hiding that game, which makes me think Nintendo wouldn't run the risk of damaging it as a holiday item, right? Because as a parent, you don't have to buy your kid Conker, but if it's bundled, there's no getting around your kid having Conker. So I'm not sure Conker would go down as an auto include, even though people have said it's one of the best N64 games there are. Moving right on, don't really need to talk too much about Super Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, or Majora's Mask. In my opinion, those three are the easiest includes. They would be in the 99 percentile, everybody's list. Yeah, just nothing else really to say there. As for Paper Mario, the Nintendo 64 is notorious for losing RPG games. It didn't really have Square or Enix Or, let's see, who else? Not really sure who else was making RPGs back then. This was a little before my time. But when it got time for the N64, they didn't really have those companies making games for them. So they had to make Paper Mario. And I think it's just an auto-include as the only RPG that'll probably make the list. I never played Ogre Battle or Quest 64, but from what I've heard, those are really the only other RPG options. And I don't really see Ogre Battle or Quest 64 making this list. Starfox. I love Starfox. You love Starfox. We all love Starfox. Starfox will be there. Really no questions asked. Then the last couple ones on these auto-includes are just really great multiplayer games. I never played Pilot Wing 64 or Wave Racer 64, but they are beloved. They make a lot of either hidden gems or best N64 videos. So I've seen gameplay footage, I've seen people rave about these games even if I haven't played them myself. I think we'll get one. We might get both. And then Mario Kart 64 and Super Smash Bros. Not only are they some of the most fun you can have, multiplayer experience-wise, that you can have on any console, let alone the N64. So in my opinion, they're auto-includes. Next is the Tier 2 list. I'm almost positive all these games will make the list too, but I wouldn't be surprised if one or two doesn't make the list. So we have F-Zero, Kirby 64, Mario Party 2, Mario Tennis, Yoshi's Story, and Pokemon Stadium 1 or 2. Maybe Nintendo would hook us up with both Pokemon Stadiums. I think I would personally prefer getting 2, but I feel like there's just a lot of Gen 1 hype, and they've been hyping up Kanto so much. They redid the Pokemon, what was it, Pikachu I Choose You, or something to that effect. It came out last year in November. They redid, or Pokemon Go obviously had its roots in the first 150, and we're talking about getting Kanto on the Switch. I feel like it's just going to be Pokemon Stadium 1, but I'd personally love to get Pokemon Stadium 2, as Johto is my favorite generation. But heck, I would love to get both. Let's get Hey You Pikachu in there too. They probably won't go that far. But I'll admit that I have never played F-Zero X, which is what it's called on the N64. I've never played that game, but I do very much love Kirby 64 and Yoshi's Story. I still play those games up to this day, and I still have a lot of fun playing them. They just never get old, in my opinion. Classics, great games. I'd love to have them just in one easy-to-go system. Now, Mario Party 2 is my favorite of the series, and that's why it's getting my nod. I played this game so much with my family. I got so good at all the mini-games, even if this footage doesn't make you think so, because when I recorded this game, it was the first time I played this game in 4 or 5 years. But me and my family were playing this game up until my freshman year of college, which was about 4 or 5 years ago at this point, 2013. Turn of 2014. I'd come home and stay with my mom, and she still had this, and I still had my N64 there. So we would play Mario Party 2 up until, 2013, 2014. That game just never died out. We played it for almost, 15, 20 years. It's just a great game, and it gets my nod. I don't think they'll do Mario Party 1, even though that's the one I've seen on a couple people's lists. I've just heard things about, which, I mean, I guess it doesn't have to be, but I've just heard some stuff about some of the mini-games not aging too well, we'll say that, and hurting people. But I didn't really play Mario Party 1, I was a Mario Party 2 kid, so I'm rooting for Mario Party 2. Now, I put Mario Party Tennis here as a placeholder, as I never played the Mario sports games, but I just feel like we're going to get either Mario Tennis or Mario Golf. I think those are the only two Mario sports games. There may be more. I know around the GameCube time we got Super Strikers and we got Mario Baseball All-Stars. I'm not sure if that's what the Wii one is called or not, but we got a Mario Baseball game and a Mario Soccer game. And I think on the 3DS, no, the 2DS, the DS, we got a basketball game like Mario 3-on-3 or something like that. But as far as the N64 goes, I think it was just Mario Tennis. I think it was just Mario Golf. I always wanted to rent these games back in the day, but I don't think I ever got around to actually renting any of them, which is kind of a shame, but oh well. I think we're going to get at least one. I think we're going to get either Mario Tennis or Mario Golf. Maybe both. But I also wouldn't be surprised if we didn't get any. They've been able to make these classics without throwing sports games on there. I think the only sports game we've had has been Punch-Out! So I wouldn't really be that surprised if we didn't get Mario Tennis or Mario Golf. But I would love to have it on there just because I've never owned them. And it'd be fun to play with like a 2 players. I doubt they're going to go 4 controllers. Maybe 2 controllers though. That'd be fun. Next up on this list, we're going to dive into third-party games, racing games, and wrestling games. So I have a very fond memory of the N64. I owned a lot of the first-party games. I owned DK64, Mario 64, both Legend of Zeldas, Kirby, Yoshi, the Pokemon games. There's about 4 Pokemon games that came out on the N64. I owned Smash Brothers, Mario Kart, Mario Parties, right? I really enjoyed the system. It wasn't until I got older that I realized that a lot of people don't like the N64, at least not past those initial 20 or 30 games. The last, I guess, 200 and something games, people don't really like, or you had to have had the game as a kid, right? So a lot of people complain that it's bogged down by racing games and wrestling games, and taking a look at the library, it's true there are a lot of racing games and a lot of wrestling games. So we're going to dedicate an entire section to it because I feel like you got to at least address the elephant in the room. I don't know if any of these games will actually make this system, but I feel like they are worth talking about at least. I personally did not play a lot of third-party games. I didn't play a lot of racing games, and I didn't play a lot of the wrestling games. I consider the Rare games about second party, if you will, as Rare and Nintendo probably worked hand in hand to develop a lot of those games, or at least Nintendo trusted Rare. Yet again, I was about 5 when these games were coming out, so I don't know all the backstories between Rare and Nintendo, but Rare was making killer games. I don't exactly consider those third-party games, though. And since we're not going to get those Rare games for the most part, I'm going to slide Turok in here. If we're not going to get GoldenEye and we're not going to get Perfect Dark, I think the next beloved first-person shooter game is probably the Turok franchise, and you might as well throw the original in there. Now, moving on to racing games, I have a tie between Cruis'n USA and Beetle Adventure Racing. I grew up with Cruis'n USA. Didn't really play it. I think my uncle owned it. He had it over at my grandmother's when she babysat me, and I played it a couple of times. I've also played it in the arcade, so that game kind of gets my nod. But as growing up and being on YouTube, I've learned that Beetle Adventure Racing has a cult following. People love this game, and I actually recorded some footage of it for this video. Hopefully it makes it in to the final video. But I think you can just insert your favorite game. There's a Lego racing game. There's Mickey Speedway, which was fun. This spot could be Diddy Kong's Racing. A lot of racing games for this console. There's Rush. I'm pretty sure there's 2 or 3 maybe Rush games that came out. Lots of racing games. I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo pays homage to this genre and throws one on here, but at the same time we have Mario Kart 64. We may get Diddy Kong Racing, so I don't know if there's a shot for a non-Nintendo Rare-ish racing game. But if so, just put your favorite game. I think they all have about as good a chance, or whatever one was the best selling, I don't know. For racing game or wrestling games, I'm going to put WCW/MWO Revenge. I'm not a big wrestling fan, I'll be honest. I did own this game, and I had 2 cousins, me and my brother. We were always at my grandmother's house because she would babysit us after school. They would come down, and we would all play this game on our N64. And it was a lot of fun. I haven't played a wrestling game really since then. I played a couple here and there of the, I think 2K is the one making them nowadays. And I've played them every once in a while. I've never really owned any. So that's why I'm giving WCW MWO Revenge this spot. Yet again, I don't know if Nintendo will actually throw a wrestling game on here. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't, if they just omitted this. But yet again, gotta pay homage with my list because I'm not the only one that played 4-player wrestling games back in the day. This was just the one that I played. Now for Star Wars, I'm not going to put a Star Wars specific game. There was about 3 that came out on the N64, and I don't know them by name. There's Star Wars Shadow of the Empire, maybe, Star Wars Rogue Squadron, and Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. There might be another one. There might be. I'm not sure. But those are the ones that I know of, and I never played any of them. But I figured we gotta have a third-party game. We gotta have a big-name game on here. We don't have a Final Fantasy. We don't have... what were some of the other games? I can't really think of some of the other big games that appeared on the NES and the SNES Mini, but I said, hey, let's go with Star Wars. Star Wars appears as a hidden gem in a lot of people's videos. The Rogue Squadron series set up Rogue Squadron 2 on the GameCube, which I didn't play, but man, if I don't hear good things about the series. So let's just have a Star Wars game on here. I don't know which one. Just insert your favorite Star Wars game in here, and we'll call it a day there. And last, for this spot, I'm going to go with a sports game, and I'm going to just say NBA Hang Time. And I think NBA Hang Time has a chance. I think it's a pretty low chance, but I'm giving it a chance nonetheless. It's not a traditional sports game, which I think helps. Secondly, the N64 had a bunch of cute platforming games. That was really their specialty. Between Banjo-Kazooie, DK, Kirby, Yoshi, Mario, just a lot of kid-friendly games. I think throwing a game on like Hang Time would help justify it for some of the people who don't really want the platformers, but they played other games. I played Madden 99 and Hang Time were the sports that I played. I'm going to give Hang Time over Madden. And the game's just really kooky and really fun. I think people would still have fun with it today. I still own my childhood copy of Hang Time. It's really crazy. You can play as different characters and give yourself a nickname, and really cool. I wish I had recorded some footage for it, but I did not, and it's kind of unfortunate. For this one, I recorded Beetle Adventure Racing because I'd never played it. Wanted to see what it was all about, and I did enjoy it. And let's see, lastly, Turok. My dad actually played a lot of Turok as a kid. He's not a gamer, but he loved Turok as a kid. I think Turok was a trilogy on the N64. Maybe there might have been 4, but I think it was a trilogy. And he played all of them. Me and my brother tried to play them, but we were more, the first-party Nintendo games. But Turok was fun. And I think Turok has a chance. I really do, because I think they're going to want to fill a first-person shooter role. And if they're not going to get GoldenEye or Perfect Dark, I think Turok might swoop in and steal that first-person mode. It'd be interesting to see it with the one analog, how it would stand up today. I don't know. We'll see. But I don't think they're going to ignore the first-person genre, and I don't know how people are going to feel about not having GoldenEye. I think they might have to throw Turok on there just to satisfy some people. This last category we're going to go with is Hidden Gems and Sleeper Picks. Now, my faith for these is very little. I don't think we'll get a single one of these on here. But we're going to shoot for it, okay? We're going to try to guess 1, maybe 2 Hidden Gem games that are going to appear on the N64. So here are the games I think have the highest chance. It's Rayman 2, Mischief Maker, Glover, Harvest Moon 64, Body Harvest, Bomberman 64, Blast Corp, Mystical Ninja starring Geomon, Space Station Silicon Valley. So right off the bat, I think Harvest Moon 64 has the best chance. They still work together making the Harvest Moon games on the 3DS, and I don't think the Wii U got one. I don't think the Switch has one yet. I think the 3DS got one. I think they actually just did a new one where it got changed to what's it called? Season of Stories or Story of Seasons. I don't really play the Harvest Moon games, I'll be honest. But I think it's just the most brand recognized of these games. I think it has a chance. The other one I think has a chance would be Rayman 2. As far as I can tell, Nintendo and Ubisoft, who I think Ubisoft makes the Rayman series. As far as I can tell, Nintendo and Ubisoft have a good partnership. When you look at the Wii U's third-party library, a lot of the third parties are Ubisoft, with games like Watch Dogs and Assassin's Creed, and even Rayman Legends. So I think Rayman 2 also has an alright shot, as long as there's no copyrights or any trouble getting those games on there, I think Rayman 2 has the second best chance next to Harvest Moon 64. I haven't played a lot of these games. I haven't got to play Blast Corps, Body Harvest, Mystical Ninja, Space Station, Mischief Maker, but a lot of people love these games. These are the games that constantly appear on Hidden Gems and sleeper picks and top 10s that no one talks about is a lot of these games, and I would love for them to be on for some of them to be on the system, because I don't see a lot of these games. I've seen Bomberman 64, I've seen Blast Corp, I've seen Glubber every once in a while, and I've seen Mischief Maker once, but I don't think I've ever seen Harvest Moon 64 in the wild. I don't think I've seen Space Station, Silicon Valley, and if I've seen Mystical Ninja, it's maybe once. I don't see a lot of these games very often, and they are praised. I guess the other game we could have thrown on here was Gex, because I've seen some video footage of Gex, and I think if we didn't get DK64, Gex would be an okay counterpart to that. I don't play Gex, but I would love to play some of these games. Another hidden gem that I see tossed around is what is it? Chameleon Twist. Another game I haven't played, but it looks interesting, and I would love for there to just be a hidden gem or two on this console. You don't see them a lot. You know, you see the first-person games all the time at your retro gaming store, but you don't get to see a lot of these hidden gems. And I think it'd be really cool for one or two to make the list. But I think Nintendo is going to do a lot of first-party games on this system, and I think if any of the... Well, Bomberman may have a chance, but I'm not really sure if I see that one happening. Now, I thought about putting some of the expensive and rare, as in rarity games, on here. You know, your Clay Fighter, what's some of the other ones? Worms Armageddon. But I'm not sure they're good enough to be on this list. I know a lot of people will never, outside of emulators, will probably never play some of those really rare, expensive N64 games. But I think the people who are buying those games are not buying them because they're good or for the playability. They're buying them just for the collectability. So I'm not really sure having a compilation of bad, but what's another word for rare so I don't have to keep interchanging these oddities? Odd? You know, bad but odd games I don't really think is a good selling point. So ultimately I decided to leave games like Clay Fighters, the 63rd and a third Sculptor Cut Edition, whatever it's called. I decided to leave that game off because I just don't think it's good enough. Even though I haven't played it, I haven't heard phenomenal things about it compared to, say, Smash Bros. Melee. Or not Melee, but Smash Bros. 64. Alright, the other closing thing before we reveal the official list is Pokemon Snap. Because Pokemon Snap is on my official list, but I didn't really know where to throw it in at, and in hindsight, I'm going to throw it into Tier 2, as I don't think it's a slam dunk automatic game like a Mario Kart or a Smash Brothers, or even, you know, Starfox and those games. I don't think it's quite on that level, but I think it's still a lot of fun. People wanted a remake with the Wii U, and I was one of those people that saw the potential with the gamepad as the camera, and Nintendo refused to hear us out. So I think this is a good chance to kind of appease your fans, because everyone wants Pokemon Snap 2. They haven't done it on the DS for some reason. The DS seems perfect for the camera, but what do I know? And they haven't done it. They didn't do it with the Wii U. We'll see if they do it with the Switch. But I think this is a really good chance to kind of tide people over until we get, you know, Pokemon Snap 2 or something similar on the Switch or 3DS. But that's going to do it for all that. Now it's time for the official list. So let's see what we got here. Super Mario 64, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, Paper Mario, Star Fox, Super Smash Bros., Pilot Wings 64, and or Wave Racer, Mario Kart 64, F-Zero X, Yoshi Story, Kirby 64, Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2, Pokemon Snap, Mario Tennis and or Mario Golf, Turok, Cruis'n USA, WCW MWO Revenge, Star Wars, Harvest Moon 64. That is my 20 games. Clearly some of these games are going to be left off. I think Nintendo will try to find a balance between nostalgia and actually great games. And I trust them that their list of 20 or so games will be legit. Now some of these games are interchangeable. I just chose the ones that I remembered fondly and the ones that I enjoyed, but you can insert your favorite wrestling game, your favorite racing game, yada yada. And yet again, if we get Donkey Kong and we get Diddy Kong Racing, then I think you can probably take off Cruis'n USA and WCW and call the list that. So that's going to do it for this video. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys would want to see on your N64 Classic / Mini. And let me know if you guys are excited about the SNES and NES coming back into stock. I normally do Let's Play videos, but I try to do these discussion videos, top 5 videos every once in a while, and then reflect on video games and collecting and playing and all this fun stuff. So if any of that sounds interesting, check out some of the Let's Plays I have on my channel. Check out some of the discussion videos I have on my channel. You can read this in its entirety over at my blog if you prefer a written format. But that's going to do it for this video. If there's any extra time left over after editing the video clips, it's just going to be the finale of Mario Party 2. So if you've been really engaged into that video and want to see how it ends, stick around, because I'll show that in its edited down entirety. If you're not interested in that, that's going to do it for this video. Click subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next exciting video you guys decide to watch. Have a great day, everybody.